Now it's time to prepare the door frame for the installation of the door release mechanism, which we call the electric strike. The site where we've been working happens to have a metal door frame. So let's cut away for a minute to a wooden door frame, which is more typical. Here's your existing strike. It holds the door shut. You'll want to look at it to make sure that it's positioning the door correctly, that the door is firm when it's shut. This will be used as a guideline in the positioning of the new electric strike. Assuming this strike is in the right place, we can use these holes as guidelines to the positioning of the template, which will create the proper spacing for the cavity. Now we're going to use these holes to establish a center line. Let's colorize these to make these more clear. Now I'm positioning the template on top of the drawn center lines. Now let's determine how much of the door frame needs to be cut out to allow this to be recessed. Be careful not to cut out the area where the tabs go. These hold the strike to the door frame. Now let's mark out the cavity. This area that I've cross-hatched is the area where we're going to remove the wood. At this point, I'm holding the strike up here to establish how far this black part is going to extend into the molding, because that part of the molding area will have to be removed. Now we're ready to make the cut. In my 20 years of putting in electric strikes, this multi-tool has made the job so much easier. I highly recommend getting one of these if you're going to be doing this type of work. At this point, I'm going to change my saw blade. Now with this blade, I can do more direct plunge cuts. The other tool was good for laying out straight lines. We've now cut away most of the wood, and we can remove the wood, and behind the wood there's sheetrock, which we also will have to cut out to make some room for the electrical plug set and wires to fit behind the strike. I'm carving this out a little bit more. Using my Leatherman multi-tool. Once we've created our cavity, it's optional to reset these flanges to make them flush with the frame of the door. It's a lot of work. If the door is very tight in relation to the door frame, it will be necessary to make them flush. We now have the cavity carved out, and we're now going to test putting the strike in. Now, as you can see, the flanges are not level with the molding, and we're now going to relieve this area about 1/8 of an inch to allow this plate to lie flush with the frame of the door. I've made a series of cuts here, approximately the depth of the metal of the strike flange, and I'll be taking the rest out with a chisel. So now we're going to see how that looks. It's a little bit more room. You may have to fuss around a bit to get this to go in. There's some detail work, but I think we're now ready for this to go in. And you can see that it is sitting in flush, and this can now be set in with screws and a little touch-up paint if you want, and this is a really nice quality installation. Now that you've seen how to put this into a wood frame, we'll return back to our apartment to show the continuation of the installation, which was done in a metal frame. At this point, we've prepared the cavity for the electric strike, cleaned it up a bit. We're going to drill some holes here pre-drill the holes for the screws going to hold it. We're going to drill a hole here to bring the electrical wires in, and then we'll be ready to electrically connect it and screw it in place. Now I'm connecting the electrical wires onto the strike. Got lots of wire. Okay, now we're just going to tuck this wire into the door frame. Now I'm going to pre-drill the holes to screw in the screws. This is a lot of work. I think I'm going to use the power drill for the rest of this. This is a metal door frame, and we wanted to fill in a little bit of the cut out of the metal, so we had a little metal shim in there, and we just painted it up to make it match part of the body of the strike, gives a little extra polish to the job. The strike is holding the door shut now, and it's locked on the outside. Every Open Sesame door system includes a strike tester, and what this allows us to do is electrically test the strike without the door operator being involved. So I'm going to plug that in. It's buzzing, and the strike is released.